show. I got another bug gun to review and tell you about. This one I think is pretty good. There are some negatives to it and some pros to it. Some people are going to think I'm weird for buying this, for trying this, but I think it's going to be a winner. The gun is I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a P365. What's different about this one is that this is a P365 and 380. This is not 9mm, it's 380. So it was just kind of bought it on a whim because I shot the match a few months ago with the LCP Max that I've been carrying around, kind of like the grocery getter gun, where I need something to put in my pants and have with me or take to the store. And I like it well enough. I still like it. I'm not going to get rid of those. I got two of them. But after shooting the match with it, I kind of got to thinking, like, it's just not good enough. I know that everybody says that about 380 in general, but the gun itself, the LCP Max, is I mean, like, when I say just not good enough, I mean, like, it's just a hair not good enough. And it's the barrel length. It really comes down to I can't get there's just nowhere for my support hand to go. And I end up burning myself because my thumb is way out here past the muzzle on the LCP Max. And this is just a touch longer than the LCP Max, and it gives me a place to put my support hand, thumb. And not only that, but Go Guns makes this cool gas pedal that attaches to the rail. You're a little limited on holsters if you do that. I've got one holster from a company called Four Brothers that I'd only heard of them because they make this holster for with this attachment on it. But they make it. It's an appendix rig, which I'm kind of into trying these days. And yeah, so take a look at a few more of the stages, and I'll come back with some pros and cons list. And before that, I'll kind of do an overview of the gun itself and show it to you real quick. Okay, so here we are with sort of a zoomed in view of them both, the 365, 380, and the Ruger LCP Max. In my opinion, these guns are competing for the same market share. I mean, they're both 380, they're both relatively small. The LCP Max is probably a little bit smaller overall, but, not a ton. I don't know how well you can see that, but not a lot smaller, but they're just about the same width. The LCP Max being single stack, the 365, 380 being striker fired. I did go with the manual safety because I thought, I'm going to be pointing this at my crotch, and every little bit helps, I guess. In retrospect, I probably didn't need to do that. Because now I've got to, if I shoot it in a match or if I'm training with it, I have to have another step to remember to do or to train with, because every other gun I shoot in competition doesn't have a safety on it. So it's something I got to remember, something I got to work on. But anyway, it's not a huge deal. So this is the with this one, same as this guy, ambidextrous or reversible mag release, which is important to me as a lefty. Mag strap free, as you can see. No, for the life of me, I don't know why SIG and everybody else just won't make these ambidextrous. So you've got a slider release on the left side of the gun, but the right side of the gun is blank. I don't know. Maybe if you can put a safety on this side, it's not going to stick out much farther than the safety, if you can see that. It doesn't stick out much farther than the safety. Actually, I don't think it does at all. But so yeah, I just don't know why The only reason I can think of is that they're trying to, keep the footprint small or the width small, but with the safety on, it's the safety on this gun. It seems to be about the same. It does come with the curved trigger, which I'll probably throw in most of my 365s. I've put in a flat face trigger, so I'll probably end up doing that. This little guy, the Go Guns gas pedal I talked about earlier, is I really like it. It's probably not necessary on the 380 because like I'll get into with the pros and cons, the recoil on this thing is just, I was gonna say negligible, but it's lighter than that. It's hardly any. It feels like you're shooting a 22. Shooting this compared to this is much more difficult to shoot, and perhaps we're going for like a Ruger is going for a deeper level of concealment with this gun than maybe this one, but from my opinion, you throw them in your pants in the appendix carry position, and they feel just about the same. So I really think this is a winner. But we'll get into a couple more stages here, and then I'll come back with a pros and cons list and kind of go over it a little more. Okay, those are the stages from the ASI Senior Classic. It was a good match, good time. And ASI just is a great place to take these guns out, take out something that you might not usually shoot, and give it a try. It's a great place to figure out how well you can shoot with your carry gun. Because I think a lot of people come out and shoot big guns at competition, and then they carry little guns like this or the 9mm version, and think that those skills are going to translate, and they will, I think, to an extent. But I'd rather, maybe it's just me, I'd rather know exactly, like, this is how well I can run my carry gun than just assume that I can run my carry gun as well as I can run a bigger gun or a competition gun. So a few pros and a few cons of the 365 380. Pros: there's practically no recoil to this thing. I expected there to be a drop in recoil from the 9mm to the 380, but this is a drastic difference. Maybe I'll do this at some point and post a follow-up video, but I think it'd be interesting to try like a frame for frame, because I'm using the small frame on this and my other is a 365X, so it's got a little bit bigger frame and it might be easier to control. I don't know. But I think it'd be a cool idea to try like a build drill with this and a build drill with the 9mm and just see if there's any difference. It's going to be, I think it'd be negligible, but either way, I think that this is just a little bit more controllable it feels like you're shooting like a 22 Magnum or something. It's just not there. So I think follow-up shots might be a little easier for some people, especially somebody who might be recoil sensitive. And the slide is definitely easier to rack. Doesn't really matter to me because, I don't know, neither of them seem difficult. But another pro, there are 12-round magazines for this. So in addition to the 10-round that I've got in there, there are 12-round magazines. They make them, I've seen them. The only difference in the magazine for this is, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit of a spacer right here at the back. And going along with that, all the videos I've seen and in all of the shooting I've done with it so far, I have a million 365 mags. I've got the 15 rounds, the 12 rounds, 10 rounds, all of them 380 or 9mm. They cycled 380 just fine, without the spacer, or obviously the ones with the spacer did fine too. But yeah, there was no difference between the magazines. I think this is a big one. Pros for this one, as opposed to like a 365X or a regular 365, is that with this one, your optic cut, it's cut for the same optics as the Romeo Zero and the Holosun 507K, but you get to keep your rear sight. So I think that's pretty awesome. If you don't want to run suppressor height sights, or even if you do, you can put them on there and you don't have to worry about it. In addition to that, I took this one comes with white 3-dot. There are night sights, but they're white dot instead of the X-Ray 3, and I had a bunch of these sights laying around from other 365 builds. So as soon as this one went on to, I live in Washington, so 10-day background check no matter what. I just brought in a pair of these sights and was like, hey, while it's in jail, why don't you put these sights on for me? And they were cool about that, and did it for me. Oh, so big pro, and what makes this way more shootable than the LCP Max, like I touched on before. I can get a full grip on here with both hands. So I think I don't know. Maybe there's something smaller than this that I'll leave these words later. But I think this is about as small as I really want to go for a gun that I would want to carry around all the time. I'm not saying that I'm going to get rid of the 380 Maxes or the LCP Maxes because they're great for pocket carry. This is probably too big for pocket carry. That one's probably good for pocket carry, but not great for shooting. This one's better for shooting, but not great for pocket carry. But either way, I can get both of my hands on here, where this thumb right here, even if this wasn't here, I can get that thumb on there without burning myself, out the front of the barrel there. And the size difference between, if I'm going to I'm carrying a lot of appendix these days because that wasn't for chubby dudes, but it turns out it is. So it's working out okay. I thought that, being a dude and having a little bit of, extra love right here in the center would be a problem, but it really hasn't been, especially with these small guns. Maybe with a bigger gun, it would be a problem, but carrying this around or carrying the LCP Max, there was really no difference between these two. A small difference in this one, which I'll get into in the cons, but it's kind of like I'm stretching at this point to find something that I didn't like about this. So, another pro is that this is 380, and everybody's probably looking for the 9mm. So if you want one in 380, it's probably not gonna be hard to find one. So I didn't look very hard. I just, I had some credit at the gun store where I go usually, because if I get sick of something, I just take it down to the store and have them sell it, and they'll give me full credit, whatever the sale price is, as long as I use the money there. So I just said, hey, order me up one of those, and it wasn't hard to find. Before that, I was looking on the interwebs and found I want to say it was Palmetto had them, and they've always had them. So every time I check, there's not like they don't go out of stock or whatever. There's plenty of them. So that's a pro. If you want one, they're around. A few of the negatives. So for specifically for backup gun division at IDPA, if that's something that you were thinking you would, I think it'd be great for it, especially if you did the same thing that I did with the 365X, where you use the X frame, you have to trim down the base pad. So this would be as the 365 magazine, the 12 round with the longer grip frame fits in there. The magazines point down like this. I don't really know why, but they do. Maybe to give you a little bit more purchase, but it will fit in the bug box if you trim down the edge. So if you did that with this and you had a full grip on this thing, and you're reloading 12 round magazines, so they're easier to reload than a tiny little magazine to do a tiny little grip. You wouldn't have to release as much of your hand to be able to reload. So I think this could be a winner. I still think that for me, not having a slide release is probably get away with it, but what it gives up in the slide release for me, it makes up for in the recoil and follow-up shots, because it's just incredible in that regard. But the bad thing for bug division is that it's 95 power factor, and most 380, to my surprise, does not make 95 power factor. So today in the videos you saw, I was shooting 95 grain 380, but it's only going like 960 or 945, the two different loads I was shooting, and so that's making like 89, 90 power factor, but it's not making 95. I have seen some, I want to say it was Tula or Remington, I can't remember, that is 95 grain going like 10, 16, it's a bug in my face. So that would make power factor, but then 1016 is not far away from, a few bad rounds or a few rounds that are slower than what they advertise, and you're not making it and you're shooting for no score, which sucks. So that might be something to think about if somebody was thinking, especially if you're a right-handed guy and the slider release isn't going to bother you. Another thing to think about. So one thing I can't ignore, and this one definitely a con. So there's an FCU in here, just like there is in the other one. It's supposed to be the same FCU as the 9mm, which I didn't mention that in the pros, but that's definitely a cool thing. So that you can, if you have the slide, you can throw it onto your 9mm one, whatever setup you have, and do it. But this one, so I bought this with the intention of immediately putting it onto a Wilson Combat grip frame. So I did what I did with my 9mm. I just took the grip frame out, put it into the other one, and the safety lever fell off. And I was like, that's weird. But I've had the safety lever fall off my 9mm one, and I'm like, okay, well, it fits together like a puzzle. I'll just put it back together. So I put it back together, and it still wouldn't work. And so I messed with it for like 2 hours, and I couldn't get it. And so I took it over to the gunsmith that I have, that's the same place where I bought it, and he was able to get it back in once. And then I was like, cool, I'm going to take it home. And for whatever reason, I didn't bring the Wilson Combat grip frame, and I should have, but he put it back in this. It worked. And so then I brought it back home, and I was like, well, whatever that was, we got it figured out. And so I brought it home, took the FCU out again, tried to put it back in the Wilson Combat grip frame, and same thing happened, and I couldn't get it back in again. And so I know you're thinking, this guy's probably a moron, but like, I've really worked with these, and so I know how they fit together. I got the other one out, and I'm looking at them both, saying like, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. So this FCU is just a little more finicky than the other one, and it could be that this gun. So it could be that, and maybe it's the safety lever. I don't know. I've never had one with a safety lever on it before, so maybe that's it. But yeah, it didn't. I'm just put it this way: it's in here now, and I shot the match with it in here, and I'm not going to take it out. I might take the slide off. I've taken the slide off a few times, and it was fine. It didn't lock up on me, but I'm not going to take this out until I'm, feel like fighting with it again to try and get it into something else. So maybe at some point, but yeah, big con if all the 380s are that way. I don't know. I can't see how they would be or why they would be, but this one was kind of a pain in the butt. Another con is 380. It's not 9mm. So if you're looking at one for carry, it's 380. It's not my 9mm. It seems like there's two camps. There's guys that fall into 380 is just good enough to carry, and the other guys go 380 is just not good enough to carry. I fall into the camp that if I have a 380 on me that I'll carry, that I'll have on my person, and use it if I need it, all the better. Better to have it and not need it than have something that's too big that I'm not going to carry or that I don't like shooting. But I really like shooting this, and I can shoot it fast. And I think that with 11 or 13 rounds, that's plenty enough of 380 to, for lack of a better term, I guess, drill whatever it is I need to drill and get the hell out of there. So I wouldn't feel undergunned carrying this around, I guess. Oh yeah, con, the grip frame. I don't know what it is, but these stock SIG grip frames, I just don't like them. I don't know if they're if everybody finds it that way, but when this thing really sinks into this hand, this line right here on the grip frame just digs into my hand, and maybe it's the way I grip it, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be. I've got a number of other grip frames for 365. Look at the Wilson Combats. I had Icarus one. None of them do that, but this one, all the 360 or the 365, the Sig Sauer ones do. I just don't care for any of the Sig Sauer ones specifically, which is ironic because they made the gun. But yeah, that's about all I've got in terms of pros and cons. Again, I think it's going to be a winner. I think that if somebody were to buy, the right ammunition, you could shoot this in Bug Division and do well with it. But yeah, it's a pleasant surprise. I didn't think that when I got it, I thought, oh, I'm going to like it because it's 380, and I don't know. I figured it would have lighter recoil. I didn't think I was going to like it as well as I did. So, yeah, if you have a chance, check it out. Pretty cool, especially if you're, maybe getting up there in years and, need a gun that's a little easier to shoot and a little easier to cycle. I mean, definitely a winner. So check it out. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.